Texas. Oh, wow. Well, I have to say, thank you. I am so happy to be back here in Houston. And I think that this crowd sends exactly the right message about what's going to happen in Texas in 2018. It is great to be here for such an important cause, and I want to thank Amber for that rousing introduction and for that fabulous green pantsuit. I'm going to get to the meat of the matter, but I wanted to say just a few words about Syria. Look, Syria has been a wicked problem for a very long time. And the images of innocent people, of parents, and especially of children, suffering in the aftermath of that most recent deadly gas attack were more appalling than I certainly can put into words. As I said yesterday afternoon, it is essential that the world does more to deter Assad from committing future murderous atrocities. But the action taken last night needs to be followed by a broader strategy to end Syria's civil war and to eliminate ISIS strongholds on both sides of the border. So I hope this administration will move forward in a way that is both strategic and consistent with our values. And I also hope that they will recognize that we cannot in one breath speak of protecting Syrian babies and in the next close America's doors to them. Now, it may feel a little jarring to go from war and peace to politics, but I think it reminds us, and certainly the last 100 days are a reminder, that politics matters enormously. The leaders we choose matter. The role the United States plays in the world matters. And that is why I am so delighted to be here with so many women who are determined to chart a better future, starting right here in Texas. Now, when I was back walking in the woods, I got an invitation for this event. Here it was on a rock. And I thought, wow, what could make anybody feel better than going to Houston to support Annie's List? I couldn't think of anything that was more appealing. And I want to add my voice to so many others in thanking Amber Mostyn for her passionate commitment to this work, because I know from my own experience that standing up and fighting for progressive causes and values can sometimes feel like an uphill battle. But Amber never gives up, and she doesn't let anybody else give up either. She is committed to instilling progressive values in the next generation, starting with her own daughter. I'll never forget the message that I received from her daughter, Ava, a few years ago, assuring me I would have her full-throated support if I should run for president. At the time, she was 8 years old. I did really well with the 5 to 10-year-old population. And there's no doubt that voices like Amber's are one of the reasons that we can have hope about what the future holds, because of the empathy, the conviction, and the determination that she and so many of you stand for. And so when I saw that invitation on the Rock, I said, I'm going. I'll be there to help celebrate this wonderful organization. And I want to thank Patsy Woods Martin for her leadership at Annie's List. I've known Patsy and her husband Jack for a while. She's encouraged so many people to become involved in philanthropy and politics. And thanks to all the board members and the co-chairs who I understand had to go to a lot of trouble to keep finding a bigger and bigger venue to host this event. Somewhere out there is my longtime friend and former colleague in Congress, Sheila Jackson Lee, and I thank Sheila for being a ferocious, effective leader and advocate. I think Congressman Al Green is also out there, and I thank him for the service he provides to his constituents. Now, I am here not only as a longtime admirer of Annie's List, but as a direct beneficiary of the toughness and tenacity of women leaders from this great state. There are so many names, but the one I want to mention first is my dear friend, Grace Garcia. Grace, for those of you who knew her, she worked on the '92 presidential campaign, came with us to the White House, worked for me at the State Department. She could have done anything in the world, but came home to Texas to run Annie's List. And boy, did she believe fiercely in the potential and promise of this state. We tragically lost her in a horrible car crash, but boy, would she be proud of the work that is being done and the crowd that is here today. And I've been saying for a long time that a lot of the best young Democrats in America are right here in Texas. And that's especially true for young Democratic women, many of whom worked and served on my campaign. I look forward to helping elect them to office in their own right in the years ahead. And of course, serving in office is not the only way women are making their mark. You're organizing tirelessly in the spirit of the late Choco Meza, working behind the scenes like Yvonne Gutierrez, building coalitions like Lily Schechter, empowering one another, supporting each other to lead in your own way. Now, I first came to Texas when I was 24 years old. There was a presidential election going on. It was the most amazing experience. A few of you have heard me tell the story before, but I think about it a lot because it affected the rest of my life. I got a job working for the Democratic National Committee. They sent me to Texas to register voters. They just also sent my boyfriend down to run the Democratic presidential campaign. He had a beard, a lot of bushy hair, and a lot of just passion for Democratic politics. I, by contrast, was sent to South Texas and the Valley I hardly knew a word of Spanish, but you know what? I had the best time. People could not have been more gracious and hospitable. As I knocked on doors asking if people were registered to vote, they invited me into their homes. I sat at a lot of kitchen tables, drank gallons of really strong coffee, and I mostly listened. I listened as people shared their stories, their worries, their dreams for the future. And along the way, I fell in love with Texas. I went dancing at the Armadillo in Austin. I swam in Lake Travis, probably illegally. Ate a lot of enchiladas verdes at Mi Tierra in San Antonio. Drank my share of Shiner. Ate way too much mango ice cream from the Munger Hotel. Crossed the border. In those days, it wasn't that hard. Had my first plate of goat. But you know what was most memorable? Were the friends that I made, that Bill made. They've been friends of a lifetime. They were part of the unforgettable experiences we had. I often think back on those kitchen table conversations because for me, it seems so obvious, but I had to try to convince people that if they turned out and voted, things could change. That we could slowly and steadily make progress. Now, we clearly didn't win that campaign back in 1972, and we've had our share of tough losses since, most recently in this last election. That was a particularly painful setback, believe me, I know. But I've been at this a long time, and what I've learned is this. Nothing in politics in a democracy is permanent. When I came to Harris County last year, I told many of you that even if we didn't win the state this time, I was sure we could give the Republicans a run for their money. And thanks to you and under the leadership of the party chair, Gilberto Hinojosa, we did. We made real progress. This was the closest presidential election in Texas in 2 decades. In fact, Texas saw the biggest gain for Democrats anywhere in the country from 2012 to 2016. We didn't spend any money. We didn't have it to spend here. But we had you and millions of other Texans. We cut the margin in this state from 16 points to 9. In Harris County, we won by 12%, and Democrats won every countywide seat. And Democrats picked up 5 seats in the state house. We held our ground in Democratic strongholds. We did better in some traditionally Republican areas than any Democrat has done in a long time. And oh, by the way, we won 3 congressional districts that have Republican Congress members in them. And that's something that we're going to focus on for 2018. So, even though things may feel bleak, just turn off the TV. That's my advice for the short term. Just gets you agitated and upset. But despite that, I do see a bright future. I see a big tent Democratic Party, a progressive movement that produces results for all Americans, no matter who they are or where they live, a party with a big heart, large enough for all of us, that stays true to our values, empowers the young, diverse, rising generation here in Texas and across America. If you doubt that, just look at what Annie's List accomplished last November and December. There were bright spots, like Victoria Nieve, right? Gina Hinojosa, and Sung, candidates you helped elect. Now, I've been going around saying this mantra that hopped in my head. Just is the kind of thing that helps me stay focused. Resist, insist, persist, enlist. And in those 4 words, there's something for all of us to do. One of the reasons I wanted to come here is that this is a state where women have been resisting, insisting, persisting, and enlisting for a long time. Jessica Farrar, state rep. After years of male politicians interfering in women's personal health decisions, she introduced the Man's Right to Know Act. I don't know, the bill may be satirical, but the message sure resonated with women everywhere. You're standing up. You're standing up to injustice, like our friend Wendy Davis did when she filibustered for 11 hours on the floor of the Texas Senate. You're showing up day after day, generation after generation, never losing sight of the future we are fighting for. There's no better example than your legendary Governor, Ann Richards. And today, her daughter Cecile is a legendary example of what standing up and speaking out means. You're stepping up. You know, I'm inspired by the women here who are making your voices heard. And there's a way that everybody can do it. You know, people tell me all the time, well, I could never run for office. I couldn't stand up and speak in front of people. You'd be surprised what you can do. But even if that's not your particular mission, there are other ways you can have your voices heard and your values reinforced. That lovely young woman, Isolde Fair, who you saw singing the song that was written using words from my last speech in the campaign. There's so many young women who are looking for the best way for them to use their talents. Marching, telling stories, going to town hall meetings, attending Annie's List trainings in record numbers, doing your part to change the face of power in Texas. The activism is more important than ever, and it's working. Think of the Women's March. Millions of women across America and the world. Think of the thousands of people who flooded into town halls helping to bring down the Republicans' terrible health care bill. You know, talking about empowering women, well, that's a hollow gesture when your actions endanger women's lives. And that's exactly what the policies of this administration do, here at home and around the world. When you seriously try to kick millions of women and families off their health insurance, when you believe it would be the right thing to do for your political base to defund Planned Parenthood, even though a big majority of America disagrees with you, and 1 in 5 American women have gotten health care at Planned Parenthood, when you see pictures of a group of men sitting around a conference table talking about bargaining away essential health benefits like maternity care, who are these people? Think about it. That is not empowering women. That is just meanness. That is cruelty. That is undermining the lives, the futures of countless Americans. I said yesterday at an event that, you know, the Republican representative who spoke out and said we shouldn't have insurance policies required to cover maternity care. Somebody needs to talk to him. Unless he's claiming he's the Immaculate Conception, the man has a direct stake in maternity care. Unfortunately, this is not fake news. This is what's actually happening in Washington. And it goes even further. When you cut programs from our development and defense budgets, you are undermining not just women's lives and futures, but our national security. And you are endangering their lives, which in turn could come back to haunt us and endanger our own. I've traveled the world on behalf of our country. I've seen the difference that our programs can make in spreading American values. I called it smart power when I was Secretary of State. It's good for our country that people look to us still with hope, knowing that we may not be perfect, but we have come a lot closer to a more perfect union than any other place in American or world history. So let our voices be heard. If this administration is, as it says, serious about empowering women, they need to do some research and implement some policies and start acting like that. And we have to hold them to account for every single step they take that takes away rights, that promotes injustice, that undermines the future of women and girls in America and around the world. Now, look, I know none of this is easy. The other side has been denigrating government and undermining our progress for decades. It's going to be hard, but I like our chances. I like seeing rooms like this packed with activists. I like knowing that women endorsed by Annie's List have won over 100 races, including 37 women elected and re-elected statewide. You have given over $4.5 million to candidates, trained 2,500 women, including 75 campaign managers. That is real impact. We have to build. Now, one of the differences, and we're going to have to make up some lost time here, the other side has been very good at building institutions. Think tanks that promote their policies, whether there's any evidence to support them or not, training camps, even summer camps. They have been at this a long time. There's that old saying some of you have heard, that one of the differences between us and them is Democrats like to fall in love and Republicans just fall in line. I think we can both fall in love and fall in line in politics going forward, and that's what I hope we do. Build the institutions, love what we are doing, come together for the future that we deserve to have. I know we can win in 2018, and I know that if we can get people in Texas to turn out and vote, Texas will be blue. Now, maybe some people don't want you to know that, but if Texans voted at the same percentage as Californians, you would already be blue. Young people, women, African Americans, Latinos turning out and voting and making sure their votes count. There's so much to be proud of in Texas. Such a great tradition, and even today, it's a place unlike any other, isn't it? You know, I think about all of the great progressive causes and candidates who came out of Texas. You know, the Rural Electrical Co-op was started here, founded, driven by a young congressman named Lyndon Johnson, turned on the lights across rural Texas, and then across America. A revolutionary idea based on a simple proposition. Yes, we are all in this together. And think of the women, the trailblazers that have been produced. Barbara Jordan. I had the great honor as a young lawyer serving on the impeachment staff that was investigating then President Nixon. And Barbara Jordan was on that committee. And I got to watch her. And oh, I got to listen to her. The voice of God, an Old Testament prophet, reminding us of who we are when we are at our very best. Sylvia Garcia. Your own Anise Parker. So many others. Now look, the answer that some people give to the times in which we live is to build walls. And it's not just the physical wall that they want to build on the border, causing so much dislocation and difficulty. It's the other kinds of walls that they are promoting. Walls between people, between groups of people, undermining our common ground together. I think right here in Texas, we can do a lot to build those bridges of common purpose and shared values. We can start talking and listening to each other, including people who didn't vote for us. We can be talking about a hopeful, inclusive America where everybody has a place. If we grasp and stay true to that vision, I believe with all my heart that this state will be as blue as the big Texas sky. And I love the verses from Galatians. Do not grow weary doing good. And in a more vernacular way, as my friend Ann Richards used to say, precious, get over it and get on with it. see all these women wearing white, the color of the suffragettes. And I think about their struggle, their decades, forging ahead, making the case that what a bizarre idea, women should be able to vote. The setbacks they suffered, even divisions in their ranks. It was really painful. Read their autobiographies, their biographies, read the letters that they wrote to one another. But they kept their eye on that true North Star. They believed that their dreams could become real. Most of those who started on that journey did not live long enough to see it completed. But their daughters, granddaughters, and on down through the years, they did. So think about those who have come before us. Don't ever, ever give up. Don't ever, ever lose heart. Know that change won't happen overnight, but it is really fun working with like-minded people to make it happen. And leave this lunch determined to maybe reach out to some other folks who weren't here. Because we've got to start building those bridges and finding that common ground. I know that it's going to be possible, and I know it's going to happen. I know we're going to do really well in 2018. I know that we're going to keep organizing and speaking out and marching and protesting against changes that would undermine all we have achieved as Americans. It's a false choice to say, choose the economy or choose fundamental rights. That's a false choice, my friends. We have to fight for both. And I can't wait to see what happens right here. And please know, I will be right there with you every step of the way. Thank you. Let's keep going.
Like that. She challenged us with California. I mean, we've got work to do. Go text 243-725 to woman. It's working now, and we're on our way to the goal. We're so close now. If everybody would give, that'd be amazing. And then let's just thank